Guys, before I get into this Survivor breakdown video of episode 1 and 2 of Survivor, I wanted to let you guys know kind of my history with Survivor. So, I'm a relatively new fan. I came in about season 28, which was,
Today, Junior?
how many years ago? Like, I don't know how many years ago, maybe at least 5, but yeah, that was my first Survivor season, and I really enjoyed it. It hooked me. That was Survivor Kagayan, and since then, I've seen every season that's come after that, and then I've also seen a couple others along the way, gone back and watched some. Like, I've seen Cook Islands, and I've seen Heroes versus Villains, and Samoa. I've seen a couple of them since, but not all. And so I'm going to go through season 1 to season 40, break everything down. We can kind of appreciate the game in its fullness, and hope you guys join me for this journey so we can go through it together. Anyways, guys, check this video out. What's going on, YouTube? It's Christión. I'm back here for the first time in a while. And what I'm doing here today is something that I've wanted to do for a while, which is break down every single episode of Survivor, go through from season 1 all the way to season 40, and break down the episodes, the gameplay, all that good stuff for you guys, and we can discuss it here on this channel. Now, for this format, what I plan to do is release 2 breakdowns each week. In this first one, I'm going to be going through episodes 1 and 2, combining them together, and seeing where the game started from. So, with that being said, we're going to get right into this, and start with episode number 1, which is the Marooning. So we start episode 1 of season 1, Borneo, with 16 castaways that we're introduced to. They're going to be broken down into 2 tribes. The Tagi tribe, which is always represented by orange, and the Pagan tribe, which is always wearing yellow. On these tribes, we have first, from the Tagi tribe, all listed right here for me: Sean, the neurologist; Kelly, the river guide; Rudy, the Navy SEAL; Sonia, the cancer survivor; Richard, who's a corporate communications consultant; Susan, the truck driver; Dirk, the dairy farmer; and Stacy, the litigation attorney. That's your Tagi orange. Now getting over to the other side of things, which is the Pagan yellow. So on the Pagan yellow, we have Jervis, who's a YMCA basketball coach; Colleen, the advertising student; BB, the real estate agent; Ramona, the biochemist; Gretchen, preschool teacher; Greg, Ivy League grad; Jenna, single mother, full-time student; and Joel, the health club consultant. So those are your 16 castaways to start off this first season, first episode. We're going to get into who they really are and see how they last in this competition. So, one thing that they mentioned first off with this first episode of Survivor is that one tribe will be going to tribal every 3 days. So, once that 3 days is up, somebody's going to lose the immunity challenge, and they're going to have to vote one of their members off. So with these rules in place, we see things transpire from there. Now, this is something that I'm not sure if the rules have changed since then, but it seems like the eliminations might be a little more frequent than 3 days now, and that might be because of a larger cast, because I believe there are more than 16 castaways. Most seasons they do these days, but let's see. So we get to the Tagi tribe, and we see them talking about doing different tasks, and one person wants to go here, one person wants to go there. They have all their own individual missions that they want to complete. And then camera pans out to Richard sitting up in the tree. Richard kind of is sitting back watching things, and he says, guys, instead of trying to do all of these things at one time, what if we just plan together and focus on one task, and then we accomplish that efficiently, and we can move on to something else? Because just walking around doing your own thing, it's not going to really lead to any positive results. So we flip to the Pagan side of things. We see Bibi and Ramona are together. They are looking for water from the well. So we get that image. After that, we go back to Tagi and see Rudy mentioning that his old school style has been a bit of the minority, and he can tell that, you know, people aren't really responsive to the commands or the structure that he's trying to put in place. So we also see Dirk working on making fire, and the entire Tagi tribe working together to make that fire, but they are unsuccessful in their efforts, whereas Pagan is successful. We go to Tree Mail being explained. So Tree Mail, the castaways will get some information about the reward challenge or immunity challenge and what the competition is going to be entailing and what's at stake. So this first challenge is for both reward and immunity, kicking off the season right. You know, we got immunity on the line and 50 waterproof matches. So the first immunity challenge that we have sees both of these teams split up. They have to carry a raft through the water onto the shore, meanwhile lighting up torches along the way. And the first team to complete that will win the challenge. So Jeff specifies that they must get each one of the torches on the side. He doesn't want to have to make a call when it comes to that. So we start out with Tagi and Pagan. They're doing their thing. They're trying to get through it. And basically, Tagi has the lead to start out with. But then I believe it's Sonia who kind of trips, and it slows them down just a little bit. In that time, Pagan is able to get a little momentum, and they carry on to the finish line and win that first immunity challenge, sending Tagi to Tribal, and we gotta see who are they gonna send out first. So this is our first look into what Tribal Council is gonna be. We see them trek there. It's very treacherous, the way that they have things set up. You know, they're mentioning all the snakes and the spiders and all the branches that they have to climb through just to get to Tribal Council. We get to Tribal Council. Well, to back up just a little bit from there, before Tribal Council, there's scenarios going on. People are discussing who should be going home. You know, should it be Sonia, who is one of the older members of the tribe, as well as not being physically up to snuff like the rest of the competitors on her tribe are? So that's something to consider. Another name that's getting tossed around is Rudy, because as mentioned earlier, his old school style isn't really connecting with the younger members of his tribe, and specifically the girls. They don't really like him too much. So the third option that was being discussed was Stacy, who is said to not really do much around camp. And so our first conundrum, who's going to be going home? One of those three people. I think what I predicted beforehand was that Sonia would be going home, and that's exactly what ended up happening at Tribal Council. But you have to look at what we see currently in Survivor, which is a lot of people wanting their weak links out first, because you want to be able to win challenges early on. So that came to fruition here early on. We see Survivor being played. The big swing vote here was Susan was the swing vote, because the girls thought she was voting with them, but she actually went ahead and did her own thing and wanted to get Sonya out instead because she knew that it would be better long term for the tribe. So one thing that I wanted to look out for each of the episodes is to do an episode MVP. The episode MVP I put for this first episode is going to be the viewers, us Survivor fans, because this is what introduced us to Survivor. And at the same token, it was Survivor who was the beneficiary from this because the fans connected with the show. And so in this first episode, we're able to get this long series that's lasted as long as it has and be able to enjoy all the seasons that have come out since. Alright, we get a trailer for the next episode. Episode 2. It looks like BB on the Pagan tribe is getting on their nerves. He's barking orders at people. And Rudy and Richard, they show forming somewhat of a bond. And then we see that later on there's going to be a food competition going on. That's that first episode. Yeah, the marooning, brand new experience, Survivor, starting things off, and it's making people fall in love with this show. So to get on to episode number 2. Episode number 2 is called The Generation Gap. As we could see in the trailer for this episode, it seems like BB's getting on people's nerves, so it's probably going to have something to do with BB's old age. So we get into this new episode, and on the Tagi tribe, they're talking about cooking the rats, while some people are hesitant to follow through on this idea because it's nasty. Nobody wants to eat rats or anything. That's like kind of last ditch effort. I know you're on an island, but still, you're thinking in like regular world terms. Who would want to do that? Normal circumstances. So I understand it. They're talking about their failed attempts fishing, and they've set the fish traps, but it's just not working for them for some reason. So on that Tagi tribe, Rudy seems to be on the outs because of what had happened prior to the previous tribal council, as well as the fact that Stacy believes that the vote against her was from Rudy, but instead it was actually from Richard. But Richard doesn't let her know that it was him, because Richard's playing a smart game. From this, we go to the Pagan tribe, and we see that BB's having a similar issue with his tribe. And so this is alluding to the title of the episode, The Generational Gap, because it's Rudy on one hand having problems with the Tagi tribe, and then you got BB on his end having problems with the Pagan tribe. BB's shown barking orders at people, showing them how to set things up, and that they have to be following his regimen at all times. And then they also show Ramona, who seems to be sick all the time and just lying around, and that's getting on BB's nerve. So this next section I have titled here is BB's downfall, because this entire episode was the implosion of BB's game in Survivor. Well, first of all, we can see that the tribe mates aren't happy with how he's been talking to them and his actions on camp. So we see in a confessional BB saying that he's not there to win a personality contest. It goes against him wanting to win Survivor, because it kind of is a personality contest. As we've seen with some people since then, you have to have somewhat of a social game. People have to like you to want to vote for you to win the $1 million. But as we know at this point, it's a new game. It's literally episode 2 of the first season, so everybody's just out there trying to figure things out. BB versus Joel. I think the icing on the cake, what finally cemented BB going home, was when he decided to wash his clothes with the fresh water that the camp had. because the camp had just decided as a tribe that they would vote on any use of the resources that they had to use. So BB going out and just using whatever he wanted to wash his clothes was very inconsiderate, and the tribe took note of that, and I believe that's going to be the final nail in this coffin, should they go to tribal. On Tagi, Sean's making a super pole, and that doesn't work either for them. They're still having woes with their fishing and trying to get some good food. And so they get tree mail. They find out that it is a eating competition that they will be participating in today for immunity. This second immunity challenge, they have to eat, and what they're eating is beetle larvae. So it's Pagan versus Tagi. We got one notable thing from this is that if one person on the team decides not to eat their food, then the entire team loses. Now that's a lot of pressure on somebody. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that BB did talk about throwing the competition beforehand. So going into this competition, I was thinking, is BB gonna, not eat? Because, that would really just be saying, I want to go home. But he does decide to eat, and so does Jervis, although Jervis is very dramatic about it. So since everybody eats their burrito larva, Jeff announces that there's going to be a sudden death. And in this sudden death, we have Jervis representing Pagan, because each tribe gets to choose the weakest link that they think from each of the other tribe. And then Stacy from the Tagi tribe. And they go and they both put the food in their mouth, the beetle larva. Stacy's able to finish this first. I think that's a big win for her. She's kind of proving her worth to the team, whereas they just saw her not doing anything before. But now she is. And I think that's going to get appreciated long term. We'll see, because this is my first time seeing this first season, so we'll see how it goes from here. Tagi gets the victory, leading to Pagan going to tribal, and I think the outcome of this is all but stated at this point. Jeff mentions that tribal being in the middle of the jungle is no coincidence. He says because what happens in the middle of the jungle is sacred and to be respected, and it could come back to haunt you later in the game. I thought that was an interesting quote from Jeff. So, like I said, it's pretty clear that BB's going home at this point. So we get to the votes. Ramona only gets 2 votes against her, and BB ends up going home. Now, like I said, I want to mention an episode MVP for every episode. The first one was the fans, and Survivor has an effect. But the second episode MVP definitely has to go to BB. Because although my MVP isn't always going to go to who played the best game this in the episode, but it's going to be also other factors like BB introduced us to why a certain style of play what does not work in Survivor, and that's the selfish mentality of me. I just got to make all these moves and I don't need to make any friends, because clearly you have to make friends not only to get to the end but to get the votes at the end to win the game. And so what we have here is a clear example of that. And and of course he just made for great television. He was barking orders at people and washing your clothes with fresh water from the tribe in front of everybody. That's just classic television. I mean, that was great. I loved every second of that. And then Jervis standing up to him and letting him know, like, bro, you can't do that. Like, what is he thinking? So we show a preview of next time. We have Dirk on Tagi. Seems to be annoying them with his preaching. He's preaching too much, and then they're finally eating the rats. So yeah, that's it for these first 2 episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown and analysis of these first 2, and hopefully you tune into the next ones coming up. So, that was it. You guys have a great day. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you.